stop. Before you take another bite of anything sweet, watch this. Because what I'm about to share with you has been sitting in medical research for years, and almost nobody is talking about it. My name is Dr. Sarah Mitchell. I've spent over 18 years studying the endocrine system, the hormones, the glands, the invisible machinery running your body behind the scenes. I've treated thousands of patients with diabetes, prediabetes, and metabolic disorders. And here's what I can tell you with absolute certainty. Most people are eating sugar completely wrong. Not just the amount, not just the type, but the way they eat it, the timing, the order, the combinations, and it is silently destroying their metabolic health one meal at a time. Here's what nobody tells you at your doctor's appointment. A blood sugar spike isn't just about feeling tired after lunch. Every time your blood sugar rockets up, your body releases a flood of insulin. Over time, your cells start ignoring that signal. They go deaf to it. That's called insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the silent highway to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver, hormonal chaos, stubborn belly fat, and accelerated aging. And the terrifying part? You can have dangerous blood sugar patterns and feel completely fine. No symptoms, no warning, just slow, invisible damage happening right now, every single day. But here's the thing. What if I told you that you don't have to give up sugar entirely? What if I told you there are specific, science-backed strategies used by endocrinologists that can let you enjoy sweet foods without triggering that dangerous spike? Today, I'm going to expose 5 powerful methods that can completely change the way your body handles sugar. And the number one secret on this list? It shocked even my most educated patients when they first heard it. We're starting with number 5 right now. And trust me, by the time we get to number 1, you will never look at a meal the same way again. Let's start with something so simple. It almost seems too good to be true. Secret number 5, the food order trick. Most people sit down at a meal and eat whatever looks most appetizing first. Maybe that's the bread. Maybe it's the rice. Maybe it's that sweet sauce on the side. That habit? It's quietly wrecking your blood sugar every single day. Here's the science. Your digestive system isn't just a passive tube that processes whatever you throw at it. It's a highly intelligent, hormone-driven system, and the order in which food enters it changes everything. When you eat carbohydrates or sugar first on an empty stomach, they hit your small intestine fast. No barriers, no buffers. They get absorbed almost instantly, flooding your bloodstream with glucose. Your pancreas panics. It dumps a massive wave of insulin to deal with the crisis. Spike, crash, cravings, repeat. But when you eat vegetables first, then protein and fat, then carbohydrates last, something remarkable happens. The fiber from the vegetables forms a physical mesh along the wall of your intestine, like a net, and when the carbohydrates finally arrive, they have to fight through that mesh to get absorbed. The result? Glucose enters your blood slowly, steadily. No panic, no flood. A landmark study published in Diabetes Care found that eating carbohydrates last, after vegetables and protein, reduced the post-meal blood sugar spike by up to 73%. Not 10%, not 20%, 73%. Same food, same calories, different order, completely different metabolic outcome. I had a patient, a 54-year-old teacher named James, pre-diabetic, frustrated. He'd cut out desserts, switched to brown rice, started walking every morning. His numbers weren't moving. I told him, don't change what you eat. Change the order. 6 weeks later, his fasting glucose had dropped 18 points. He hadn't changed a single food on his plate. Actionable fix. Starting today, at every meal, eat your greens first. Then your protein. Save the rice, bread, or pasta for last. That's it. That one shift can transform your metabolic response immediately. Now let's talk about secret number 4. And this one surprises almost everyone the first time they hear it. Secret number 4, the vinegar weapon. Yes, vinegar. Specifically, apple cider vinegar, consumed before a high-carb meal. I know what you're thinking. That's a wellness trend, not real medicine. But bear with me, because the research here is legitimate and the mechanism is well understood. When you consume 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar diluted in water before eating, the acetic acid it contains does something fascinating inside your gut. It temporarily inhibits an enzyme called alpha amylase, the enzyme responsible for breaking down starches into glucose. Slow the enzyme, slow the breakdown, slow the absorption. That means a slower, flatter blood sugar curve after the meal. But that's not all. Acetic acid also improves insulin sensitivity in your muscle cells, making them more receptive to glucose uptake. So not only does less sugar flood your blood at once, your body is also better equipped to handle what does arrive. A study from bioscience, biotechnology, and biochemistry showed that vinegar consumption before a meal reduced post-meal blood sugar response by approximately 34% in healthy adults, and even more significantly in people with insulin resistance. One of my patients, Maria, a 47-year-old woman with borderline blood sugar, started drinking diluted apple cider vinegar before her 2 largest meals each day. Within 3 months, her doctor called her results remarkable. Her A1C had dropped by half a point without any medication change. Actionable fix: mix 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a large glass of water. Drink it 10 to 15 minutes before your biggest meal of the day. Always dilute it. Undiluted vinegar can damage your tooth enamel and esophagus over time. Simple, cheap, backed by science. So far, we've covered 2 powerful strategies: food order and vinegar. And already you have tools you can use starting at your very next meal. But we're just getting warmed up, because secrets number 3 and number 2 are where things start to get intense. We're talking about a hidden window of time after your meal that most people completely waste, and a specific type of movement that acts almost like a second pancreas. Pay close attention here, because what I'm about to share with you is the difference between people who try to manage their blood sugar and people who actually succeed. Secret number 3, the golden window after every meal. Most people eat a meal and then do one of 2 things. They sit back on the couch, or they go straight to their desk. And in doing so, they throw away one of the most powerful metabolic opportunities their body ever gives them. Here's what's happening inside you right now, right after you eat. Within 30 to 60 minutes of finishing a meal, your blood sugar is climbing toward its peak. Your pancreas is working hard, releasing insulin, trying to shuttle that glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells. This window, this critical 30 to 60 minute period, is what I call the golden window. And what you do during it either helps your body enormously or makes everything dramatically worse. When your muscles are moving, even gently, they do something extraordinary. They activate special glucose transporters called GLUT4 receptors on their surface. These receptors pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream and into your muscle cells for energy, without needing insulin to do it. Read that again. Your muscles can absorb blood sugar independently of insulin, but only when they are actively contracting. This means that a simple 10-minute walk after a meal can act almost like a second pancreas, silently pulling glucose out of your blood, flattening the spike before it even fully forms. A study published in the International Journal of General Medicine found that a short walk taken within 60 minutes after eating reduced post-meal blood sugar levels significantly more than the same walk taken before the meal or hours later. Timing is everything. I think about my patient David, a 61-year-old retired engineer, type 2 diabetic for 9 years. He was checking his blood sugar religiously and hating the numbers he saw after dinner every night. We added one thing to his routine: a 10-minute walk around the block after his evening meal. Nothing else changed. Within 2 weeks, his post-dinner glucose readings had dropped by an average of 29 points. 29 points from a 10-minute walk. Actionable fix: after every meal, especially lunch and dinner, get up and walk for at least 10 minutes. You don't need a gym. You don't need equipment. Walk around your house. Walk to the mailbox and back. Walk in circles if you have to. Your muscles don't care where you go. They just need to move. Now brace yourself, because secret number 2 is something most people have never once considered. And when they hear the science behind it, their jaw drops. Secret number 2, the protein and fat shield. Here is a question I ask every new patient who comes into my office struggling with blood sugar. What do you eat for breakfast? And almost without fail, I hear the same answers: oatmeal, toast, fruit, cereal, juice, a banana on the way out the door. Every single one of those answers makes me deeply concerned. Because here is what the research tells us, and what the processed food industry absolutely does not want you to know. Starting your day with carbohydrates alone sets your blood sugar on a roller coaster that lasts the entire day. Your first meal of the day, after 8 or more hours of fasting, hits your system harder than almost any other meal. Your insulin sensitivity in the morning is different. Your cortisol levels are elevated. Your body is primed and ready to react aggressively to glucose. Feed it pure carbohydrates first thing. You trigger a massive spike. That spike causes a crash. That crash triggers cravings, specifically cravings for more sugar and refined carbs. And that cycle repeats itself through lunch, through the afternoon, through dinner. One high-carb breakfast. An entire day of metabolic chaos. But when you build your first meal around protein and healthy fat, eggs, avocado, nuts, Greek yogurt, smoked salmon, something completely different happens. Protein triggers a slow, controlled release of energy. Fat slows gastric emptying, meaning food stays in your stomach longer and is released into your intestine gradually. Together, they create what I call a metabolic shield, a biochemical buffer that protects your blood sugar from violent fluctuations. A study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that a high-protein breakfast reduced post-breakfast and post-lunch blood sugar spikes significantly, even when the lunch itself was unchanged. The protection from one good breakfast carried forward into the next meal. That is extraordinary. One smart choice in the morning, creating a ripple effect of metabolic stability for hours. I had a patient, a 39-year-old woman named Claire. She came to me exhausted, brain-fogged, and gaining weight despite eating what she thought was a healthy diet. She was eating granola with fruit every morning. We switched her breakfast to 2 eggs, half an avocado, and a handful of almonds. In 3 weeks, she told me, and I remember her exact words, "I feel like someone turned the lights back on." Her afternoon energy crashes disappeared. Her cravings dropped dramatically. Her fasting glucose began to normalize. One meal changed everything. Actionable fix. Tomorrow morning, skip the cereal, skip the toast, skip the fruit juice. Build your breakfast around at least 20 to 30 grams of protein and include a source of healthy fat. Eggs are ideal. Add vegetables if you can. Save the fruit for later in the day when your metabolic defenses are stronger. We are now at the edge of the most important moment in this entire video. Secrets 5, 4, 3, and 2 are powerful. Life-changing even. But secret number 1? This is the one that stops my patients cold every single time. It challenges everything they think they know about sugar, metabolism, and even when the damage actually happens. It is controversial. It is shocking. And it is backed by some of the most compelling research in modern endocrinology. All right, I need you to stop whatever else you are doing right now. Because what I am about to tell you, this final secret, is the one that changes everything. This is the information that separates people who genuinely protect their metabolic health from people who follow all the right advice and still end up with a diabetes diagnosis at 55. And it starts with a question that almost nobody thinks to ask. Does it matter when during a meal you eat the sugar? Not just what you eat, not just how much, but when, in the sequence of an entire day, in the architecture of a single meal, does the sugar arrive in your body? The answer is yes. Profoundly, shockingly, life-alteringly yes. And the research behind it will change the way you eat forever. Secret number 1, the chronobiology of sugar, your body's hidden clock. Here is something your body is doing right now that you cannot feel, cannot see, and almost certainly have never been told about. Every single cell in your body contains a biological clock, a molecular timer built into your DNA. Scientists call this your circadian rhythm, and it doesn't just control when you feel sleepy. It controls your hormone levels, your immune function, your body temperature, your digestion, and your insulin sensitivity. Your body's ability to handle glucose is not constant throughout the day. It changes, dramatically, based on the time. Here is what the science shows us, and this is where it gets deeply alarming for most people. In the morning and early afternoon, your insulin sensitivity is at its peak. Your cells are primed, receptive, and ready to absorb glucose efficiently. Your pancreas can release insulin quickly, and your cells respond to it powerfully. Glucose is processed, used for energy, and cleared from your blood rapidly. But as the day progresses, as evening approaches, your insulin sensitivity begins to fall. By 8 p.m., your metabolic machinery is winding down. By 10 p.m., it is operating at a fraction of its daytime capacity. This is not a lifestyle choice. This is not something you can override with willpower. It is hardwired into your biology, written into your circadian code. And here is where the horror begins. A landmark study published in the journal Diabetologia took the same meal, identical in every way, and fed it to participants at 2 different times, morning and evening. The blood sugar spike from the evening meal was significantly higher than the identical morning meal. Same food, same person, same body weight. Dramatically different metabolic response, simply because of the time of day. Another study from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that eating out of sync with your circadian rhythm, consuming large amounts of sugar or carbohydrates late at night, triggers metabolic disruptions that mirror the patterns seen in early-stage type 2 diabetes. Let me say that again, because I want it to sink in. Eating sugar late at night, even in moderate amounts, can trigger blood sugar and insulin patterns that look like early diabetes. Not in someone who is sick, in healthy adults, just from the timing alone. This is what I call chronometabolic damage, and it is happening silently in millions of people who believe they are eating reasonably well. Think about how most people live their lives. They eat a modest breakfast, a rushed lunch, and then, in the evening, when they finally relax, they eat their largest meal of the day. They have dessert after dinner. They snack while watching television at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. Every single one of those late-night sugar exposures is hitting a body whose metabolic defenses have gone offline. The glucose floods in. The insulin response is sluggish and delayed. The sugar lingers in the bloodstream far longer than it should. And night after night after night, that repeated exposure causes what researchers call glycation, sugar molecules physically bonding to proteins in your body, damaging blood vessels, stiffening arteries, degrading nerves, accelerating the aging of every organ you have, and you feel nothing. That is the cruelest part of this disease process. It is silent. It is invisible. And by the time the symptoms arrive, the fatigue, the numbness, the vision changes, the cardiovascular events, the damage has been accumulating for years. I want to tell you about a patient who made me realize how urgently people need to hear this information. His name was Robert, 52 years old, a successful architect. He came to me for a routine checkup. He exercised 3 times a week. He didn't drink excessively. He ate what most people would consider a balanced diet. But Robert had one habit. Every night, without fail, he would sit down after 9 p.m. with a bowl of ice cream or a few biscuits. It was his reward after a long day. His moment of comfort. He'd been doing it for 15 years. His A1C was 6.4, 1 point away from a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. His blood vessel inflammation markers were elevated. His triglycerides were high despite a relatively clean diet. And his continuous glucose monitor, which I had him wear for 2 weeks, told the whole story. Every single night, between 9 p.m. and midnight, his blood sugar was spiking to levels that would alarm any endocrinologist. Not because of what he was eating. Because of when we made one change, one single change. Robert moved his treat earlier. If he wanted something sweet, it had to happen before 3 p.m., ideally as part of lunch, surrounded by protein, fat, and fiber. His evenings became protein-focused, light, early. 3 months later, his A1C had dropped to 5.8. His inflammation markers normalized. His triglycerides fell by 40 points. He told me he felt 20 years younger. One change. 15 years of damage. Reversed in 90 days. Actionable fix. From this point forward, treat your evening hours as a metabolic protected zone. If you are going to eat something sweet, have it at lunch. Have it in the early afternoon. Eat it surrounded by fiber, protein, and fat to buffer the impact. As the sun goes down, shift your eating toward protein, vegetables, and healthy fats. Make your evening meal the smallest meal of your day, not the largest. And after 8 p.m., close the kitchen. Your biology is not designed to handle sugar at night. Stop fighting your own circadian clock. Because every night you ignore this, your blood vessels are paying the price. We have now covered all 5 secrets. And together, they form a complete system, a blueprint for eating in a way that works with your metabolic biology instead of against it. But before we close, I want to make sure these 5 strategies are locked into your memory. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. Take a breath. Because what you just learned in the last few minutes, most people will never know. Most people will continue eating the way they always have, following the same patterns, making the same mistakes, and wondering, years from now, why their health is falling apart despite their best efforts. But not you. You stayed. You listened. And that decision, right here, right now, may be one of the most important things you do for your health this entire year. Let me bring everything together. Here are your 5 secrets to eating sugar without destroying your blood sugar. Secret number 5, the food order trick. Stop eating carbohydrates first. Start every meal with vegetables. Then protein, then fat. Save the carbs and sugars for last. That single shift can reduce your post-meal blood sugar spike by up to 73%. Same food. Smarter order. Completely different outcome. Secret number 4, the vinegar weapon. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in water, 10 to 15 minutes before your biggest meal. It slows carbohydrate breakdown. It improves insulin sensitivity. It is cheap, accessible, and backed by real clinical research. Make it a daily ritual. Secret number 3, the golden window. After every meal, especially lunch and dinner, get up and walk for 10 minutes. Your muscles have the ability to pull glucose out of your bloodstream without insulin, but only when they are moving. 10 minutes. That is all it takes to fundamentally change your post-meal metabolic response. Secret number 2, the protein and fat shield. Transform your breakfast. Drop the cereal, the toast, the juice, the granola. Build your first meal around 20 to 30 grams of protein and healthy fat. Protect your metabolism from the moment you wake up, and that protection will carry forward through your entire day. Secret number 1, the chronobiology of sugar. Your body's ability to handle glucose changes dramatically throughout the day. In the morning, your defenses are strong. At night, they are almost gone. Move your carbohydrates and sweets to earlier in the day. Make your evenings protein-focused and light. Close the kitchen after 8 p.m. Stop fighting your circadian clock and start using it as your most powerful metabolic ally. Now here is what I want you to understand, and this is the most important thing I will say in this entire video. You are not broken. If your blood sugar has been high, if you have been diagnosed as pre-diabetic, if you have been struggling with energy crashes, stubborn weight, and constant cravings, none of that means your body has failed you. It means nobody gave you the right information. Your metabolism is not your enemy. It is an incredibly sophisticated system, one that responds powerfully to the right inputs. And now that you know what those inputs are, you have something most people never get. A real chance to change the trajectory of your health. These 5 strategies are not complicated. They do not require expensive supplements. They do not require a perfect diet or an iron will. They require awareness, small strategic shifts, applied consistently over time. Start with one, just one. Pick the secret that resonated most deeply with you. Maybe it was the food order trick, maybe it was the timing revelation, and implement it at your very next meal, today. Not Monday, not next month, today. Because your blood vessels don't wait. Your insulin receptors don't pause. Your biology is happening right now, in this moment, and every meal from this point forward is either working for you or working against you. You now know the difference. One last thing before you go. If this video opened your eyes, if you learned something today that you genuinely did not know before, I want to ask you to do 3 things. First, hit that like button right now. It sounds small, but it tells the algorithm that this information matters. That real science-backed health content deserves to be seen. It helps this video reach the people who need it most. Maybe a family member, maybe a friend, maybe someone who is one bad A1C result away from a life-altering diagnosis. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, I bring you the kind of clinical knowledge that used to only exist behind closed office doors. Blood sugar, hormones, metabolism, longevity, the science your doctor doesn't have time to explain, delivered clearly, directly, and always backed by research. Third, I want to hear from you in the comments right now. Tell me, which of these 5 secrets surprised you the most? Was it the food order trick? The circadian timing revelation? The power of a 10-minute walk? Drop your answer below. I read every single comment, and your response helps me understand exactly what to cover next, so I can keep creating content that actually changes lives. Because that is why I am here, not to sell you something, not to overwhelm you with fear, but to give you the truth, the full, unfiltered, science-backed truth, and trust you to do something powerful with it. You came here today looking for answers. I hope you found them. Now go eat smarter, move more intentionally, respect your body's clock, and I will see you in the next video. Your health is not a destination. It is a decision you make, 3 times a day at every meal for the rest of your life. And now, you know exactly how to make it right.